I think we're good.
Are we live? Oh, well done.
Let me turn this
Sweet.
down. Whoa, too loud. Okay. This is
Okay.
very professional.
Okay. We don't give a shit. Hi.
Hello.
Hey. Hello,
Welcome
everyone.
to Go Away. All like
Yes.
3 people who ever saw this
Yeah.
ever.
Let's pretend that never happened and just start anew.
Yeah, don't. The first two
This is
videos there,
our.
don't even look at them.
Long story short,
Oh,
we
do
tried to
we?
make a podcast and we tried to make it all good and fancy, but then we realized we can't be fucking asked. So now, a year later, we're doing it again, but now we don't care. So
Yep.
there we go.
Yep.
Professionalism? Totally.
Absolutely.
Alright.
I forgot what I was gonna
So,
say. Oh yeah, I was
well,
gonna.
Mike.
I was gonna be like, oh, should we get music going? Uh, and
Nah!
then
Music what
and
now?
then I remembered
Fucking hell.
I'm gonna find some open source
Yeah.
music, man.
No. Don't.
Royalty
Oh, it's gonna
free.
be fascinating. It's gonna be fascinating. Yeah, we're just doing this to keep like a record of ourselves throughout the time. We're gonna excuse ourselves using that idea. We're doing it.
Non-copyrighted streaming music playlist.
Uh huh. Sweet.
Wait,
Nickelback.
hold on, hold on.
Now, while you're
This
trying to do that, I want to ask a
this
question.
might be. Oh no, this is. These are most definitely copyrighted. Get out of there. Had
Well, maybe
Macklemore
they're
on
just
there.
allowed. Is that very interesting right now?
What?
Like
Macklemore?
you don't even know how much I don't care.
Hmm.
Anyway, so what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Um, well, it says the last video is a year ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the YouTube works in mysterious ways, so it could be like a year and 11 months, and it would still
Yeah.
say like a year. So I suspect it's quite more than a year. So let's
It
pretend
is.
that.
It's like a year and a half.
Yeah. Do you remember where you were back then? I remember where I was. I was in hell. But what about you?
Well, it was. I was getting ready for hell, I guess, because it was definitely
No, I
before.
remember.
It was
It was
before I
shortly
went to grad
after.
school.
Yeah, it was shortly after you came home to wherever you are, and yeah. So you were doing fine, and I was doing terrible. So a year and something has passed. So where are we now?
um, I am now in Canada for grad school. It's okay.
All right, I'm doing okay too. So this is that we're doing okay. Nothing
Yeah,
changed.
I
Nothing new.
mean, I'm almost finally done.
It's not hell. Oh yeah. So for those of you who care, now I'm talking to the imaginary listener. Um, those of you who care, I am currently trying to balance personal work, like freelancing, and like a side job that I do where like I actually get off my butt, go to a place and do something stupid while you are still studying and you're gonna get in all that fun shit when you're done and you're done soon. So like
Mm-hmm.
almost in a year you'll be done with school and you'll join me in the beautiful life of freelance and horror. So
Yeah, well,
can't wait.
I mean, I can't decide if my freelancing is better or worse than what you have to do.
Well, what is your freelancing?
Building up the street cred.
Well, that's
Well,
my
like,
freelancing too, really.
well, no one comes to me. I have to send shit out to people, you know?
No one really comes to me either. Well, I mean, see, here's the thing. When I say freelancing, I mean like I do work for people
Mm-hmm.
and I do what they want, right? So
Yeah.
I imagine the same kind of deal with you when I'm saying freelancing about writing, right? I imagine like you would be hired as a writer for some project, and
Nope.
that's my kind of idea. That's how I see writing freelancing. Because when it's your personal project, is it really freelancing? It's more like trying to get published.
Yeah, but I mean, very rarely will you ever get commissioned to write a piece.
I mean, yes, but what part of that is really freelancing? Is my question.
Mm, hmm. Interesting question.
Mm-hmm. Like I can see like writing freelancing no problem because it's not like all the writing in the world that's creative writing is like personal work. Like even your favorites like Gaiman and Moore did a lot of shit that was like tied to someone else's property, right? And that's something I would call freelancing for writing, you know? But I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't call like American Gods or something freelancing because that's just his work.
Mm-hmm. I think that's
I
the
mean,
thing
it's
about.
still
I think that's the thing about writing is it's mostly your own stuff that you try and sell.
yeah. But I wonder if you can
Oh,
get
here we go.
work as a writer in the same way, you know?
Ha! It is. It is freelancing. Yes, I looked it up like a nerd.
All right, tell us.
Freelancer, a person who works as a writer, designer, performer, or the like, selling work or services by the hour, day, job, word, etc., rather than working on a regular salary basis for one employer.
So the cornerstone of that definition is that it's not just one employer, but it's like you were working for yourself, really.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then we can like just use the term self-employed, I guess.
Yeah.
Still gonna be shit, so semantics don't really matter, right?
Yeah.
But it's fine. I
Yeah.
don't know. I kind of look at it as exciting shit, you know? Like yes, you're
Mm-hmm.
starving. Yes, you're like you have dysentery. I'm like imagining you're like on a shitty ship with holes all over the place, but hey, you are a pirate.
You are a
So
pirate.
that's exciting. So I don't know, like sometimes terrifying shit excites me and I have the opposite. Like when like it's all like comfy, it's kind of like not
Oh,
exciting at all.
you know what I
Like,
could do?
mm-hmm,
I could
mm-hmm.
play my my one recording or two of my recordings very quietly.
No.
Well, too bad it's happening.
Okay. Actually, the newest one would be kind of perfect. We could we could have that pleasant coffee shop vibe going on.
There we go. Can you hear it? Probably not.
No,
That's right, because
not at
we're
all.
streaming and you're not listening. This is oh man, this is so professional.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's so good. Feels so good, man. Speaking of feeling good or bad, Pepe the Frog, man.
Oh man, poor Pepe. What are we
Okay,
gonna do
so
with all
first
our
of
rare
all,
Pepes?
I don't have any, but
You don't have any?
first of all, no, I know you think I'm the kind of person that keeps like a folder of all the memes and like reaction images and shit, but no.
Yeah, man.
I tried it, but I got really tired real fast, so no.
Hmm.
But so you read the article, right? Like first, what happens? You read the news that like Pepe the Frog became the like a new symbol of defamation or something, right?
Yeah.
Which what does that even mean? It means really nothing, right? It's just like
Yeah, well,
related to
the
something.
Anti Defamation League used to be a pretty reputable
I
Organization?
like how
I
you
guess
said
that
used
would
to be.
keep track of like hate group type stuff, like Ku Klux Klan and all that. And then, like, not too long ago, they tried. Well, not they tried. They did say that criticizing Israel, just criticizing, like something they're doing, they said that counted as anti-Semitism.
That's completely ridiculous.
So, just kind of take
Well,
stuff they say with a little grain of salt.
well, see, if you're using a meme as a symbol, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't say like those specific memes. They used like just Pepe the Frog in like in general, right? That shows me that they know nothing. Okay, first of all, which is not surprising, but that could apply to any meme at all.
Yeah.
Because really what a meme is, or what it used to be, it's a vehicle for any kind of reaction image. It's like it's a joke because it's like old school British joke when you take the same setup, in this case the image, and then you adapt it to any situation, right? So by that logic, you can take anything and make it racist, anti-Semitic, like just xenophobic, like any kind of hate crime. So any meme could be that, but anything that has visual, like identifiable, like symbol behind it, like they don't understand that Pepe is a vehicle. It's like,
if you read the thing, they do seem to kind of understand that, but like,
that doesn't
make
make
why
any
did you
sense.
bother putting it up then? Like, by the same token, you could say like putting, I don't know, Donald.
It sounds like you
Donald,
have nothing
if
better.
you put Donald Duck in like a Hitler costume, and then you try and say that Donald Duck is a new, like, neo-Nazi symbol, like it. If you do something like that, it's fucking obvious, but that doesn't mean that Donald Duck is the new calling card for neo-Nazism, you know?
It's not like they could just collect every single thing. Like they just pick and choose, right? So that's a terrible pick and choose decision.
Yeah.
Because then you have like you could do anything, right? And it's not particularly representative. Maybe it's like some kind of inside joke. Maybe there's like two levels of understanding of this. Some people understand it, some people don't, like more higher up, and they're like, bring me new ideas, people. Journalists, bring me more. Like, and some guy's like, fucking Pepe the Frog, man. Get off my ass. Who the fuck is Pepe the Frog? And he just makes a case that Pepe the Frog is like a neo-Nazi symbol based on the fact that there are a couple of images that have been used. And to him, it's like a fucking joke. But they actually run with it, and it's hilarious.
Yes.
Memes. I remember, man, when memes were different. Did you notice that now memes are like, they require to have text? Like, people refer to memes specifically as something that has bottom and low, like a bottom and high part of the image text, and without that they don't see it as a meme, which is not really how it is. I mean, it went away from the original definition since like a while ago, but still.
Yeah.
Anyway, so tell me more about the story that you sent me yesterday. That was oh so great. No.
I'm not going to talk about it until it's published.
You see.
Yeah.
You see. Yeah. You made a story, and we're not going to talk about it until it's published. But is that it's great, and it's related to another story that you had.
That is published.
Is that true? That is published, actually. Yes, let's talk about that.
What about?
Tell me more about, on the scale of 1 to 10, how great do you think it is?
Sigh?
Yes. The story in question is called Sigh. It's about a cyborg character there is a cyborg in there.
Mm-hmm.
And shit goes dark, as you would expect, because this is a story by this guy. So
I thought we weren't going to try. Well, you put the title of the name or title of the story on there. I mean,
yeah,
we're not trying to be anonymous anymore.
No, I'm just like being all like, dumb, I guess. So see, this is weird because technically I just realized we never introduced ourselves. So if I say this is a story by Ben, who the fuck is Ben? Is it me? Is it some other Ben? You are Ben. This guy is Ben. My name is Anton. This guy is Ben. So he did a story. He wrote a story. It's called Sigh. It got published. It's cool. And a little thing you need to know about all the stories that Ben writes, everything fucking has to die.
It's published in the Two Cities Review.
Yes. Exactly. You can go and read that, and I'm sure Ben will put a link in the description.
Oh, I guess I have to now, huh? It's only free for a little bit. Yes. Once the winter issue comes out, then it will not be free to view anymore. But you can get a subscription to the magazine and download like all the back issues, and it's only $10 for a subscription. So do it.
How much would you rate? All right. Remind me, how big is Sigh?
Like lengthwise?
Yes. In like words.
It was pretty short. 2,000 words.
Ooh.
For reference, the rough draft of the news story that I sent you was a little bigger. Over 9,000. Over 9,000. It was
very much. Yeah. It feels like that. It feels like way bigger, but I was like so into it, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, you read that fast, especially for you. No offense.
No. Usually I start reading and I'm like, I don't care, and I stop. Yeah, my reading is like I open it, I start reading, and it's like, Andy went to the building. The building was this. It was dark, and then he fell on a flower, and I'm like, who is Andy? Why do I care? Why do I care about this building? Why would he go there? I just don't care. Like, I'm not invested. Mm-hmm. So, and I know that, like, the whole point is that you just go with it, and then you get invested. But,
yeah,
I don't know, there's, like, nothing grabbing me. Like I'm like a fucking Generation Y or whatever person who just needs to open a book and just, like, big all caps in the middle of the page is just a penis! Like what? Well, I gotta read this. I just, like, open it, I see something, like, stupid, like, the first sentence is just, like, oh shit! Jim, you killed him! Like, he's dead! Like, and I'm like, oh, god, drama! Like, oh shit. Shit's so cash. Like, I need to hear more. Like, why is he dead? Who died?
It puts the pussy on the chain wax. Do people still say that?
Like, now they will.
That was an old Reddit thing. Ugh. I can't. Ugh. Oh. And I don't want to be that guy who's just like, oh, it's Reddit. You wouldn't get it. Like, well, but it was just them making fun of, like, urban, quote unquote urban lingo.
Oh god, the more you think about that phrase, the better it gets. Putting pussy on the what?
Put the pussy on the chain wax.
Oh my god. That's so perfect. Yes, that's exactly what will happen. See, the great thing about oh my god. About the story is that, I don't know, like, I think it's about me, really, because I tried to write a little bit, so I'm like, oh, this is so fucking hard. And when I tried to read your thing, I'm immediately more invested because I see, like, oh, he's doing this. This is how it's done. Like, maybe that's my theory, but also I'm just sure that maybe it's like because it's so good, it's so easy to get into it.
Aww.
I mean, I did like skip a couple paragraphs, by accident, and I had to read them again. I definitely skipped a paragraph when you know which one. You can probably guess which paragraph I skipped. It's the one paragraph everyone will skip.
One paragraph everyone will skip?
Yeah, there is one paragraph in that story that's meant to be skipped, and you know it.
I do?
Yes.
Where?
Like, I can tell you which one, but if you don't want to spoil it for anybody.
You can say a page number.
Do you think I remember that? It's the one where the dude goes over a list of things.
Yeah.
There's like a whole paragraph that's more like, you get it, move on.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you can go down, like, see, that's the thing, when books do that, it's more like, you know, when you do music, and it's like avant-garde, and what you're trying to do is, like, create a texture. This is a mistake I did. I wrote out the exact note by note what I wanted people to do, and it was super difficult to do because it was so precise when the effect was not really meant to be that precise.
Yeah.
You like my professor told me, like, just write down some shit in words and it'll be fine. Like, and that's the same case. Like that, you just look at that paragraph more than you really read and comprehend it. So but that's like about the only one that's the one I kind of like just looked at, like comprehended the big picture and moved on, and then I had to read like a paragraph because I zoned out, because that's what happens to me all the fucking time. But yeah, it was like really easy to get into, and for some reason I started reading and I was like, well, where is this going? Like, because I'm judgmental from the start, that's my investment. Like, I mean, no, but yeah. But yeah, the story was longer, but it was also good. I also feel like it kind of ended abruptly, now that I think about it. I don't know if, like you finished it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't think like there's anything you want to add?
Well, I mean, I am gonna expand some stuff when I do the second draft, and yeah, when I edit stuff, I'll look things over. But I mean, I started working on this story forever ago, and then it got put on the back burner.
That's fine. It's just like it just ends when, like, oh, the thing happened, the end. Kind of. Like, there's not enough time to cry. But or maybe there is, and you know, maybe that's the point. Maybe you just want to punch them in the tits and walk away immediately. Yeah, like, leave them wonder. Like, leave them to wonder, and like just kind of be like, why? Why did this man like walk up to me and punch me in the tits? I have questions. Just, you know, I guess that's a viable idea.
Yeah.
But here's the question. I mean, I read it, and honestly, the way I see this story, it should be very publishable.
That's good.
The question is, it's more like, well, first of all, if the publisher is like, oh, this is not our kind of thing, it's like, you know. But then again, like King Senpai said, Stephen King Senpai, that like you tend to have way more success when you had some success. So that's a great way I paraphrase. Yeah. Amazing. Put in my tombstone.
That is pretty much what he says.
Yeah, you tend to be better off when you had some success. So, you know, they'll be like, oh, it's not exactly for us, it's not exactly our image. But then they see, like, who did this? Fucking Benson or Gray? Oh my god. We gotta print this. But this is not exactly our image. Who gives a shit? We're printing this. This is gonna be a special depressing issue.
Oh man. If fantasy and sci-fi magazine, which is still my dragon to slay, even though I'm not gonna strictly be a genre fiction writer. Or although if I do end up being one, so fucking what. But if they did buy that story, I'd get about $550 around there.
Well, the problem with this kind of shit is it requires a lot of waiting, right?
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to get my hopes up too much, you know. And not to mention, like, yes, at the end of the day, you need to start looking into how to get paid. But if I'm just gonna get excited about, like, oh man, they're gonna give me this much, like, that'll kill things pretty quickly.
I think it's more important for you to kind of focus on street cred first.
Yeah.
Like right now. Like, getting paid is good, but street cred is better for the start right now. So, if you can get your name around and your stories around in circulation, even if it's not exactly like the only problem that I feel, if it gets published, but it's published in God knows where, like, you know, like I would say, like, what's the point, you know? Like, yes, you're published, and yes, it's better than self-publishing. It's not like actually published by something, but who's gonna fucking read it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, not a lot of people. Not that a lot of people read, I guess, but still. So, like that's the thing. I never do that kind of shit, and maybe people used to do, like, read magazines for the short stories and everything, but A, I don't know many people who just straight up go and read magazines, and B, who read magazines specifically for the stories, you know. So, so that's kind of like a thing that I'm like, ooh, that's.
It's a pretty niche thing.
Oh, niche is like putting it lightly. See, I know it's kind of like there are things I know about. Like, I know there are, like, lit podcasts. Like, for example, I know there's, like, a award-winning, successful No Sleep podcast, by the way, and they just straight up read the stories, and that's a great way for writers to get seen. I mean, of course, it's No Sleep, right? So obviously, it's having some kind of, like, format. Usually for No Sleep, it's like pretend that it's real, you know. But I wonder why. But it's just like, that's a way, and I know about it, and I know people actually do it. But that's just me. I don't know, like, in reading specifically, in reading circles, what are the usual ways people go about, like, discovering new authors. I know there are, like, short story collections where you like you print a book and it's like a couple authors.
Yeah, like,
and you might buy it. Yeah,
anthologies are actually a pretty good market, and short story collections, but that's with the caveat that it has to be a bigger name magazine, or at least a pretty decent one that has some following, and usually for that kind of stuff it'll be a genre fiction thing, like the fantasy and sci-fi magazine, like the magazine called Fantasy and Sci-Fi. They release yearly anthologies, not yearly, they might release yearly, but they have the very best of sci-fi and fantasy, and they have all these different anthologies, and they all sell really well, and their magazine has a lot of circulation. But in terms of before you get to those really big name reputable magazines that do have a pretty loyal market, like, there's not going to be a whole lot of people reading your stuff. Other writers will read the stories, so I guess you have a market in there, but you know.
Well, usually how it ends up being, you end up being more successful with other people that do the same thing before you get to real people. Because who gives a shit about me painting my shit other than other painters? They will see me doing this stuff and be like, oh, this is cool, right? Like, he does this shit. And only recently I started wowing, so to speak, people who are not artists. And usually it's because they do something that's related to what they like. Like, you know, they don't necessarily love me for my artistic skills, but how I use them to do something that they care about, like like fan art or something, or like the job that I was just doing earlier today. I was painting like a thing for a client, and they're not an artist, not even much of an art director, but they need this for like a project, and they like me, and they like that I'm fast too, so they are into that. So that feels good, man. But usually it starts with you being known to like a small circle of people who do the same thing as you, which brings me to the next question. How are you doing with that? Because the last time I spoke to you on this subject, like a year ago, you had exactly 0 people in your circle that were also writers and were doing this stuff. And
yeah, that's part of the problem. Man, someone's gonna take offense to this, but I mean, it's the truth. Writing groups, by and large, are fucking bullshit. So,
well, when you say groups, what exactly do you mean? I want you to
like
specify.
People who meet regularly or whatever to talk about writing and do writing and all that stuff. Those,
like the hobby circle.
Those are an absolute waste of time. The critiques,
because you work alone.
Yeah, the critiques by and large aren't going to give you anything. You shouldn't. You kind of shouldn't have a deadline where you're like, oh shit, I have to have something for the next writers group. There will be times where you do work under a deadline, but you'll work best when you're not just shitting something out to have for the next meeting or whatever. And then,
although I do think there might be people who enjoy the pressure.
Yeah, they're the ones who get really, really gung-ho about NaNoWriMo instead of being normal people. Like, they'll go to the pre-release thing and they'll go to the workshop about plotting. It's just fucking shut up. Just write.
I do think it's valuable to go to workshops, meet people, make connections.
Yeah, that's the other thing is I am thinking about when I'm done with school, I'll probably start going to like Wordstock, which is a book and writing festival in Portland, and they have talks by writers, and they have these things where you can I forgot the name. It's like I think it's called a log line, where you'll have like 5 minutes or something to meet with an agent and give them like a quick and dirty rundown of what your book is about, and then if they're interested, they'll give you their contact info, that kind of stuff. So I'll probably start going to those kinds of things where you'll actually get something out of it. But in terms of like actually meeting up on a regular basis with other writers, I don't particularly see it happening, at least not right now. I mean, I could become friends with another writer for all I know, but yeah.
Well, it could be beneficial, But see, it's the same thing with like visual art. Really, there's like a lot of workshops with visual art, and like you'll have like most of them are local, and they'll have like one person coming that's worth looking at. Maybe some people that are not worth looking at just yet, but they will become later. But most of the people are going to quit. Most of the people are going to retire that shit, or are not serious, so it's worthless. Kind of like building any kind of like professional connection. Then they might be cool and great to hang out with and be friends with, but unfortunately, the most people you meet will not have the same drive for success, like professional goals, as you will. Which is the thing is like. There will be like a lot of workshops that you shouldn't go to, and a lot of workshops, like a smaller number of workshops, but they're usually like the big name workshops that you go to because it's like serious, like conventions and shit.
I'm also considering going to the writing festival that's up here in Vancouver, Canada. Only thing is, I think it's on Granville Island. and it might be on a day where I have class, and Granville Island is a hell of a bus ride from where I am. I'll look into it, but you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, then again, the question is, I don't know much about that festival, and I don't think you do.
Yeah.
So, we'll find out if it was worth it. So, you mentioned NaNoWriMo.
Yeah,
what's
I
that?
signed up for that. That is National Novel Writing Month. A lot of
Are you shitting yourself yet?
Nah. A lot of it's populated by people who will only get gung-ho about writing during that time. And they'll, like, the kind of people who will, like, spend a year making a giant outline and plot and then shit it out in a month and color in the spaces. But, I mean, it is still good to have a goal to finish something. But...
You know what? Listening to you, it kind of gives me an impression you just don't like people.
I do not. Oh, fuck.
Right.
Oh, God, I hyperextended my elbow today. It's been ruining my life. Anyway.
Well, there you have it. He died.
Yep, by elbow.
I'm alone now.
Anyway.
By elbow.
The other thing is you don't necessarily get much out of it. You can, but the stuff that they offer will probably will generally end up being like about as useful as a creative writing class or weekly like meetup thing for like novice writers where they give critiques at the end of the session and have readings and stuff. Like, honestly, it's probably not going to help you much. What it will do is, if you're just starting out, it'll give you kind of a kick in the ass to actually fucking do something instead of just talking about it. Because it does hold you accountable to making a word count every day and all that. But in terms of money or anything like that, you're not going to get anything. You're going to.
Here's what I want to ask you about. Here's what I want to ask you about. We both know. Oh, I mean, I don't. I just heard, and you might be just kind of hoping that. I know that a lot of writers don't actually earn much with writing itself. Like, you have to be Dan Brown or something to, like, get have a living with just your writing.
Well, writers will tend to earn a lot if they're diversified. If you're only a novelist, you're not likely to make a whole lot of money. But if you're doing novels and short stories, you can fill in your income gaps with short stories while you wait for the novels to be finished and published and get your advances and all that. But if you want to strictly only write longer works, your chances are you're not gonna make much money unless you're lucky enough to get more or less a hit,
So here's what I'm imagining this in my head, how I'm imagining. So I'm a young writer, right? Nobody knows me. What I want is to get like a deal with a publishing company. Deal is, I give them my work, they publish it, and they handle the marketing. They put it on the shelves, they put up the fucking posters and everything, they make they commission the art, they make the designs, they make it all look very welcoming for someone who's like, oh, what's this? I wanna read this, right? And that's how they will buy it, because obviously they don't know who you are, me in this analogy.
Yeah.
So really, it's gonna be more on the shoulders of the publisher.
Kind of.
In which case,
here's the thing. They will take care of the design. They'll take care of the logistics. They'll take care of some of the marketing. But unless you're a genuinely big name or bigger name person, at least, like Gaiman and Stephen King and all that, they have their marketing taken care of for them. they will do some promotion for you, but a lot of it will still rest on you as the author to get your word out. So that's when you'll want to, if you do get a book deal, you'll want to go to Wordstock or whatever writing conference and hand out promotional material or something, you know?
Oh, so you go to places. You do a book signing tour or something.
Yeah,
Whatever.
if you can swing that.
Like,
you'll have to do some
like,
type of promotion, unless you're a big name, or if you're really lucky and your first book gets published through a really big company, you might have a big chunk of the marketing taken care of. But I think even with the really big ones, they only take care of some of the stuff for new writers, and then you kind of have to do a lot of legwork.
So, in which case, that means you gotta be really outgoing, do a lot of marketing, talk to a lot of people, meet a lot of people, and just generally be very active in that sense.
In that sense, I mean, you don't have to necessarily like be super duper talkative, but you do need to get out there and at least let people know your book fucking exists, you know?
Because if you're like you are right now, then it would be like this. You'd publish like a Facebook post saying, "Hey, my book is out." You'll get a couple likes. I'll share it. I'll get a like. The end. Publishing company reports record low sales of a new author. Like, this is unprecedented, and that's what makes you famous. Immediately, everybody buys the books. Yeah, and it was his mom and his friend. His mom bought 5. Yeah. Like, because you just like sit at home and you're like, oh, I made a book. I mean, you have someone like Yahtzee, right? And Yahtzee doesn't earn much with books. He has 2 novels out, and he earns jack shit, according to him, with novels. But the reason why his novels were sold at all and he earns anything, even though it's not a lot, it's because everybody knows him. Yeah. So everybody wants his book.
Yep.
The reason why Stephen King is famous is because his first novel sold really well and everybody liked it.
Yeah.
Like, what was it? It was Carrie, right?
Yeah, it was Carrie. It sold pretty well, and then, like, when his contract with the original publisher was up, a bigger company bought the contract for a lot of money, and then the bigger company could afford more marketing and stuff. Yeah. And the other thing to consider is that if you are lucky enough to get to the paperback stage with publishing, paperback is a hell of a lot cheaper than hardcover, so more people tend to buy paperbacks. But
why don't they just do paperbacks?
I don't know why they don't. Well, I kind of do. But to me, because paperback will sell more, it would make more sense to me to start with paperback, and then if enough people show interest, publish like a special edition hardcover or something. You know?
Yeah, that's how I see hardcover. It's like more like a deluxe, cool look in your shelf kind of thing. A luxury book.
Yeah, but it's reversed. So it all starts out with like the $30 to $60 copy hardcover, and then if that sells enough thousands, then they'll push it through to a trade paperback, which is still pretty expensive for paperback. Those are like the $15 ones, and then if that sells enough, they'll make a mass market paperback, which those are like the $5 to $10 copies. So
why?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess now they have...
I understand the idea you don't want to print a lot because who knows if people are going to buy it, right? But still, wouldn't it make sense to print less paperbacks?
Or you mean hardcover?
Well, I mean, it would be cheaper to print just less paperbacks than less hardcover books, right?
I just
think so why not just do paperbacks?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't know. I don't have any.
That's just how it is.
Yep.
One of these days you'll learn and you'll tell me. You'll be like, oh, it's because of this bullshit.
After 20 years in the biz.
I can tell you, sonny. Yeah. Well, hopefully, one of these days we'll understand. In the meantime, you should get famous.
I'm working on it.
Get famous.
Famous.
You know, famous. I don't know if you know, but I'm trying to remember. There's this YouTube channel with this guy who makes YouTube videos. It's viral stuff, right? But he's really good. He has like really good quality videos, and his character just he has a retarded character who ate a jellyfish, and he always talks about how his videos are gonna make him famous. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get famous, or as we used to say, when we become the rock space stars.
Rock space stars, nope, that's it.
Not fixing it. The space rock stars, but rock better. The space. Yeah, the rock space star. I'm a space star. Yeah, all the way.
What the fuck?
The question is, yeah. What of it? Did you learn something?
I sent a story into Perihelion magazine, which is like a mid-level, but it says to give them 48 hours to get back to you about your submission actually being received, and I haven't gotten anything back, so I guess I'll query them. How do I query?
Is there a source? There should be a source. If there isn't, there should be a source for whether or not like publishers are full of shit for writers.
There generally is, yeah.
Like you can like look it up and see if it's true, or if you ask around, if you know people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make some contacts, man. Talk to some guy who has been recently published. Someone who has like one short story down. Someone who's on the rise, but not quite. See, that's the part where Stephen King's advice, reading a lot, comes into place.
Yep.
Because if you're reading a lot, then you know who's out there doing shit. Implying that you're not just reading all the best books. It's like going to like a subreddit and going like top all time and only seeing that, and then like complaining that nothing new ever gets there. And I say that just as you sent me a picture earlier today that you started reading 1984.
What?
You were reading 1984 by Mr. Orwell.
Yes.
And it's not exactly new. So there you go.
No, it's not. But I haven't read it yet, so I think I should fucking get to it by now, you know?
Here's the question. If I would give you a challenge, by next week, find one writer that's up and coming and has very little published, but still has something published, so you know he's the real deal, right? And it's the one you like, but you gotta find them so you know them. I'm not gonna tell you to like befriend them yet, but just like, how would you go about finding something new and fresh, like super fresh, that fresh?
I'd probably look at the author bios of whatever magazine published me.
And then just like, yeah, hold on.
Find someone whose story I liked and send them an email like, hey man, I liked your story.
See, this is what I would do. I don't know if this is just like, if I'd be published, and you were, in that magazine, right? I would be interested, like, what else am I next to, right? Just so I would know that my story is right in the middle between a story about rapist clowns and, like, say, a story that's just bad. Like a rape clown story, and then after my story, there's like a really bad story. Yeah.
I thought you said clams.
Also good. Also good. Rape clams and rape clowns on the left and on the right to your story. Imagine that. And then you look at it and you just think, what am I doing with my life? I would contact them and be like, hey man, I love your story. We both got published in the same place. And then you talk to them and they're like, yeah, I'm not much of a reader, I'm more of a writer.
And then I hire an assassin.
You found an assassin, yeah. Man, oh, I told you, right, earlier today. Don't want to read so I won't get influenced. Man, that's like... so good. Such a... Like, it's gotta be excuses, right? It's like...
Well, excuses. My thing is, like...
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like reading... what the fuck are you writing for?
Yeah. It's like... Well, how did King put it? Like, if you don't read, then how can you expect anybody to read what you wrote, right?
Yeah.
It's the same with any other art. If you're like into, I don't know, like dancing, then you care about other dancers. You want to like see cool dancers. This is the thing that really bothers me when I talk to some new artists and I'm like, what are your influences? Who are your favorite artists? And they're like, I don't know. Or like I'll have a lot. I'm like, that's good. Name a couple. I'm like, I don't know. Anybody, so we can start somewhere, right? Like this.
Yeah.
Like I get people sometimes asking for advice, and I look at their work and I'm like, well, a lot of people have different problems, right? But sometimes I get somebody who's like, help me out. What do you think I should work on? I'm like, you should work on exploring art. Mm-hmm. And just seeing other art, because there's a lot of art out there that's really good. It's really, really good, and you should like see it, be amazed, and learn from it.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. It's kind of more rhetorical question because I have my own answer, but do you think I take for granted the advice I got from my composition professor, who taught me how to teach myself with composition, but it applies to all art? Because his advice is like, why would you learn from me when you could learn from anybody if you sit and think about it?
Yeah.
And he started with like Bartók, and like for me it was Schnicke, and he was like, just take simple works by your favorite composers, open the fucking like a music sheet, look at it, and learn and study, analyze, apply thought, try and understand why it works, why do you like it so much, how would he do something else with this approach, like a bigger work. Mm-hmm. Right? You do the same with all stuff. Like you take a piece of writing, you take a piece of art, and you're like, wow, this is so good. Why? How did he do this? How did he do that? And when it doesn't work, why it doesn't work? You can't do that, which is why you need to like look at a lot of art and think about it. Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And when people don't, and they're just like, I want to draw because I have so many ideas, but I'm like, well, that's great, but, you know, you're like almost one step away from being the ideas guy, you know? They're like, oh, I just need this and this and this, I'm gonna be the ideas person. Like, no, like, you need to do something, and that something has to be good. Yeah. And you learn to be good by adapting and learning from better artists. If you can do it directly, that's good. If you cannot, then analyze it. You do the same with writing. That's why you need to like read a lot.
Yeah.
Because that's how the learning is going to happen on your own.
Especially in that regard, if you at least read a lot, even if you're not consciously analyzing stuff, you're going to passively absorb like what works, and you'll kind of have an idea of why.
Yeah, because you read stuff you like, right? So you kind of have a sense of what you like. If you read something you don't like, you don't want to read it. So when you write something, you'll try to write something that you like. So you'll be like, you'll automatically start writing kind of influenced by the authors that you like, because you'll start writing in the same kind of vein.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because then, like, sure, you could say that, oh, he's copying the style or something, but hey, everyone does. Working. Everyone does.
And then they develop their own voice. Yeah. You're not gonna get anywhere.
What was that quote that's so, like, poetic and cool? Like, you sound like a lot of people before blah 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 something? You know what I'm talking about?
Nope. Well, kinda.
Never mind. Yeah, there was, like, a quote I'm trying to remember, and maybe later it'll come to me. But, to me, these excuses sound like an excuse to not do stuff, you know? Like, when you think, like, when you fool yourself into thinking you like art, and you're delusional, you think you're an artist, you're a writer, or you're a photographer, right? That's what I'm thinking about right now. That's the two people that are very close to each other, the photographers and the writers. Because anyone can pick up, like, a piece of pen and paper and start writing, right? Or typing on the computer, and anyone can take a camera and start thinking they're a photographer. Putting filters on pictures on Instagram, woo! Photography. So, like, it has, like, very low skill level entry, you know, requirement, but it has the same high skill level, like, a skill ceiling to being good. It's just like it's harder to see that. With art, it's kind of easier because you try and do it and you fail. You're like, oh, this is harder than I thought. Provided you're not a fucking idiot. There are a lot of people who draw shit and, you know, and they're like, oh, this is good because it's good. And they just literally don't see the difference between good art and bad art, and I am confused by that. But,
well,
then, like, there's just, like, people who enjoy the ideas more than the actual thing. At which point the question is, like, well, then maybe you're not the creator, you're not a person, you're not a craftsman. You're, like, whatever you are. You know, you need to learn the craft. And you need to love the craft to learn it well. And if you love it, then you'll consume a lot of that craft because you love it. And that where we go back to reading a lot and shit.
I think that can be a little bit charged, though, because I always had this notion that, like, loving your craft meant you had to have this, like, burning passion for it and be consumed and burned up by it all the time. And I've never really had that. But loving what you do can be as simple as realizing you enjoy it and that you can't really imagine yourself being content doing something else. Like, I do writing and music because I'm supposed to, you know?
Yeah, like, what else am I gonna do? This is what I feel at home at.
Mm-hmm.
But, I see, like, people
Yeah.
who... I can see, like, both ends of the spectrum. People who say, like, you don't have to like it to do it well, right? And they usually, like, use somebody like Tom Harris, who wrote, like, the Hannibal books, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember reading somewhere that somebody, it might have been King, actually, but, like, don't quote me on that. Somebody said that to Tom Harris, writing is torture, and I don't know why. Like, it didn't go into details of what specifically about the process is torture, but if it is, then you could say that the person doesn't really like it, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
right? But would he be doing it if he didn't like it? Really?
Yeah.
And especially if it's torture. But at the same time, you know, like, you get people who are, like, very passionate. Like, if you're not passionate about writing, go fuck yourself, right? But they're, like, the people who are so into it, like, way more into it than they should be. Like, they lose the big picture. They get so into details and, like, mechanics to the point where they're lost in, like, a normal person.
Yeah.
These are, like, the people who get usually really into, like, academics, and, like, they read, like, Finnegan's Wake and shit. You know? Yeah, I mean, like, talk about, like, usually, like, poetry or something, and they, like, get really into it. Like, get to the avant-garde, because there's, like, oh, that's what the real shit is. Like, this is the part where, yeah, that can be cool, and you can get into it, but it's so wanky that this is, like, beyond normal level of passion, I'd say.
Yeah.
It feels more like you're trying to prove something to yourself.
It feels masturbatory. Like public masturbation.
Mm-hmm. It's like a person who listens to only classical music. You know what I mean?
Ugh.
Only classic.
Yeah, music stopped at Mozart.
Well, even, like, that's totally bullshit, but even if you're a person who listens to classical music, but, like, you don't go out of, like, anything academic.
Yeah, like even if no you're popular forms at all.
Well, yeah, like, or niche, let's just go. Like, if you don't listen to electronica, if you don't listen to rap or hip-hop, or if you listen to metal or anything, or pop, like, if you like, view all of it as, like, not music you listen to, then I suspect that you might be full of yourself. You know?
Well, plus at that point, it's not an appreciation for music, it's just tribalism.
Yeah, definitely. And, like, if you really like music, if you really do like it, genuinely, you will like classical music, because there's a lot of beautiful, well-made music in there, but you will also find great music out of it, because why would it stop there? There's a lot of, like, shit out there, of course, but, you know, like, you will never hear, like, an interesting dubstep song in, like, realms of classical music. That's just not something that's gonna happen, but by definition, there's gotta be some good dubstep. You will never hear a good gent heavy metal, like, in classical, but you might like it.
Yeah, there's some new pieces, right? Like the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra up here, their resident composer is pretty influenced by metal, so he had a piece that had like death metal elements, like technical death metal elements in it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
Anyway,
but it's still, like,
on that note, I do have to get to bed right about now. But I will say,
yes.
one parting advice.
To the aspiring writer.
To the aspiring artist. The best thing you can do for yourself in terms of what you consume in whatever you're passionate about is to be diverse about it.
And honest, I think.
Yeah, diverse and honest. Once you reach that point where you stop caring about genre or any of that bullshit, and you just recognize stuff that you like, and even more important, when you get to the point where you can objectively say something's good, but it's just not your style, you'll be doing yourself a pretty massive favor.
Well, since you gave an advice to an aspiring artist, I want to give one too. And my advice to the aspiring artist is to learn how to cook.
Well, that's just an aspiring human.
Nope. The artists need it. Alright, I'm done.
Alright, let's
go.
This bad boy. How do I'm being very professional. I don't know how to end this. My God, help me. Do I just... See, now here's the problem. There's no...
This is gonna be the best part
fucking
ever.
Stop button. Like, do I just click exit?
Oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah, I know.
We've been recording, right? That's a fact, right?
Yeah, and yeah. Well, because it shows an active thing, so. Oh boy, this is gonna look like dog shit when it uploads on the channel. It's a good thing no one was listening this whole time. How to end streaming.
This is it, folks. We gotta look up how to end the stream.
Yeah, after we just gave a bunch of really sage advice.
Let's pretend that we're like old, successful artists.
Yeah.
Like you said, Sage.
I'm Alan Moore.
But we're completely retarded when it comes to the internet.
Not only am I Alan Moore and 70, I am 70 and I don't like computers.
Well, you do have a typewriter. This fucker has a typewriter, guys. Do you fucking believe it? Totally a hipster.
I think maybe I can.
I'm just looking forward to a cup of tea.
I think I can just click the. All right, I'm gonna try this. If I disappear, that means I succeeded. Thank you for listening. If you ever listen to this,
yeah,
go read my stories. Eventually, I will have a website once my friend finishes building it, because I hired him to build me a website. So once that's done, I will link my website in the description and you can find it. I might also link my composer page on my music publishing page, so you can go to that too. Thanks, bye. Oh shit, that didn't lock me out. Oh god.
Amazing.
No, it's almost midnight. I have to shut up. I have neighbors.
What's the... Oh man, I'm excited now. Dude, it says we're live right now.
Yeah, I know, we are. Can I pause it? Can I... How to end a stream?
Oh, thank God. Thank God. It totally has been playing the music in the background this whole time.
Stop. When the event has ended, click stop streaming. Stop streaming. Where's stream options? No. Oh boy. You know, one day we'll laugh about this.
No, it's gonna be great. Alright, I have a question for you while you're trying to figure this out. This is a bonus feature for the podcast. I have a single fruit fly flying in front of my screen.
Eat it.
Like like a tiny fly, whatever you call those.
Mm-hmm.
It's really kind of bothering me, but... Oh, I want to say something. The new soundtrack to Doom, the newest Doom, 2016, came out just now on like Spotify and everything.
There is
iTunes.
A stop streaming button. How do I do it? Oh no.
How hard can it be?
Help? Oh my god.
It's probably in the most obvious place.
Yeah, someday someone will find this and be like, those fucking idiots.
No, I'm sure it's amazing. I'm sure it's hilarious.
I guess...
You just don't appreciate how much I don't care.
It's admirable, man.
Yeah. It's not like my professional